o'clock in the Oval Office, we're going to have a signing with Rwanda and the Congo.
I have a follow-up.
So I'm a little out of my league in that one because I didn't know too much about it. I knew one thing. They were going at it for many years and with machetes. It is one of the worst wars that anyone's ever seen. And I just happened to have somebody that was able to get it settled. I mean, just a brilliant person who is very comfortable in that part of the world. It's a very dangerous part of the world. I said, are you uncomfortable there? People are being killed. School children are being raided and killed. And I don't even want to say how, but as viciously as I've ever heard. Are you uncomfortable? No, that's the part of the world that I know. Very comfortable. Was able to get them together and sell it. And not only that, we're getting for the United States a lot of the mineral rights from the Congo as part of it. They're so honored to be here. They never thought they'd be coming to, look, this is a very tough part of the world. They never thought, they were just telling me, they never thought they'd ever be coming to the White House, and they're so honored. And so we're going to give them a great big reception, but that's after many years of fighting. It's a great thing. That's at 3 o'clock, I believe.
Boy. So we got to talk about what is probably the best week for President Trump that I can think of in a long time, okay? Because he is racking up W after W after W after W. And we got to talk about a W that's going to be swept under the rug by the mainstream liberal media. They're not going to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it because it's a W that's definitely worth talking about because, you know, for as much as some people love to talk about, you know, genocide and how we should all be against it and how we should all be aware when there are mass killings and slaughter, you know, going on, you know, in, you know, a certain Middle Eastern country, right? That's what people are so concerned about. When it comes to other parts of the world where you have conflicts that are also, you know, arguably, you know, genocidal, okay? They don't really seem to care too much about it, right? It's just kind of funny how that works. And the conflict I'm talking about here is between Rwanda and the Congo, in which President Trump apparently has brokered a peace deal to end the fighting and to attract investment into these countries in the region. And I want to talk about this because this is a major W for the Trump administration. It's a major W for the United States of America. And he definitely deserves credit, right? As this beautiful reporter gave him a lot of in the Oval Office that I think left President Trump pretty stunned. Take a look.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
It's a great honor.
Thank you, Mr. President. So as Caroline has mentioned, President, first of all, I want to let you know that I'm the only African reporter accredited here at the White House and covered for the entire continent. So I just arrived from Congo, Democratic Republic of the Congo, yesterday. I went to see firsthand how the people is feeling and the president's message, President Felix Tshisekedi, about this upcoming peace deal. And let me tell you firsthand what I've witnessed myself. I spoke with the people on the street. I spoke with youth. They know your name. They know that our president named President Trump is working hard to finally bring peace to the country. I saw hope. They have hope now for a better day in Congo. They see what you're doing as a future, better future for Congo. And I had opportunity to sit down with President Felix Tshisekedi for an interview because I want to understand his mind, what he's thinking, his feeling about everything that your administration is doing. And he told me firsthand that for many years, many American presidents overlooked this conflict. They didn't do nothing. Even myself, I cover President Biden's administration. I pressed many times about this conflict. People are dying in Congo. This country has so much potential, but they need help because this war is destroying the country. Sure. They never gave me any answer. And he told me, President Tshisekedi, that he's you have no idea, he's very thankful for what you're doing, for what your administration is doing. Not only him, the entire Congolese people. They see that finally they will have hope. And President Tshisekedi also mentioned at the end of my interview that when peace finally comes to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, he's thinking to nominate you as a Nobel Prize Peace because he said you deserve, you have been working to bring peace in the world, not only at the Congo, and he's very hopeful to meet you in the future.
That's so nice. Boy, and that's so beautifully stated. And Caroline said, number one, she did say, and I shouldn't say this because it's politically incorrect, she said, she's beautiful, and you are beautiful. I'm not allowed to say that, that could be the end of my political career, but I said it anyway. But you are beautiful, and you're beautiful inside. So I wish I had more reporters like you. So you covered Africa for a long time?
Yes, for over 10 years.
Wow.
I cover even your first administration.
Yes, I know that. That's great. Well, thank you. That's so nice that you said that.
You.
Appreciate it.
And I have one more question,
Yes.
Mr. President. Since we know in July or in the future, both President of Rwanda and the Congo will be coming
Yes.
to the United States. In Africa, President João Lourenço, the president of Angola, he is also the leader of African Union.
Good.
He
Yes, I know.
worked very hard to bring peace, but unfortunately...
Let's get him here.
Yes, that's
Okay?
right.
Would you invite him for me?
Of course.
Okay? No, we'll have. I know that he works very hard, and he's the head of essentially the union. So the union all over Africa, not the kind of union that we have. This is the union all over Africa, and I'd love to have him. So you'll let him know.
Of course,
Okay.
Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Good.
Mr.
Now you go back to where you belong, right?
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Hilarious, right? But also heartwarming at the same time, okay? Because the BLM president, Joe Biden, apparently didn't give a damn about Black lives, right? Being lost, right? Being killed as a result of this conflict. But, President Trump did. And we're going to get a little bit into some of the details of this deal and why we really care about this. Because, again, it is a W for the United States of America, and it comes with a price. We're going to talk about it. But first, I want to play this clip of Marco Rubio, who apparently brokered this deal. And I think Marco is really showing us that he is presidential material, right? I mean, the dude is not little Marco anymore. He big Marco.
Obviously, this could not have happened without such close friends and partners in the African Union and in Qatar, who we're working a lot lately with Qatar. We're doing a lot of things with you guys, and you've been very instrumental in the African Union. Without this couldn't have happened. I mean, you put everybody together. I do want to recognize my what I say, former colleagues. It wasn't 6 months ago. I was still a senator, but they're here now, Senators Rounds and Risch. Senator Risch is the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee and a very close friend of mine, and he's obviously watched this issue very closely. He's made it a priority. And Senator Rounds, who's been talking to me about this before I was even nominated to the position and even during the nomination process. And we have others who are not able to make it today that I also want to recognize, Senator Coons and Booker. There's been a lot of interest in this, and we're grateful to all of them. They were invited, but I guess, there's stuff going on in the Senate, as you know. And but we're grateful that both of you are here, and it's instrumental. This is, an important moment after 30 years of war. President Trump is a president of peace. He really does want peace. He prioritizes it above all else. We saw his intervention in the conflict between India and Pakistan. We saw his intervention most recently is a few days ago in a very dangerous war, right? A very dangerous war that could have really spiraled out of control, and his intervention made that possible. And there are other places that we want to see this, but we're very excited about this, and we can't wait to have the heads of state, the presidents of the respective countries here in Washington in a few weeks to finalize the complete protocol and agreement. But today is an important step in that direction, and we're grateful to be able to host it here at the Department of State. And just thinking, we think sometimes about peace. It's not just about ending wars. It's about, and it's not just about saving lives. It's about allowing people to live. It's about allowing people to now have dreams and hopes for a better life, for prosperity, for economic opportunity, for a family reunification, for all the things that make life worth living. Those things become impossible when there's war and when there's conflict. So we're grateful to have played the role we've played. We acknowledge and recognize there's still more work to be done. But we thank you all very much for being a part of this historic and important day. This is really why I wanted this job, or why I embraced this job so much, is moments like this. This is, in essence, the Department of State is really the Department of Peace. It's designed to bring people together, both in our relations with other countries, but to the extent we can use the stature and the influence of the United States to bring others together. It makes the world a better place. And I honestly believe that when there's peace in the world among friends who may have disagreements and conflict, it does help America. It does help make America stronger and safer and more prosperous. It gives us partners we can do business with. And partners that we can work with to address insecurity and threats to our national security and to our collective national security. So we are grateful to both of you. I know how hard this was and how much work went into it, and we know there's more work to be done.
Okay, if you're just joining us, we've just been watching the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who has been hosting a peace agreement signing ceremony between the foreign ministers of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. The peace agreement, as we heard there, has been brokered by the White House and Qatar. And it's to stem the bloodshed that we've seen in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo in the last few years, where a rebel group, the M23 group, allegedly backed by Rwanda, has occupied large amounts of land. So the deal just being signed now in Washington by officials of the two African countries, the DRC and Rwanda. Let's go to Alan Wakani, who is live for us in the eastern city of Goma. Alan, so your thoughts on this deal? You reported extensively on this story for the last few years. How is it being viewed where you are?
Well, it's a big step for people, but for people of DRC and also for the country, but people are also trying to see the reality on the ground here. We have to describe how the situation is, and also this deal, you heard clearly that they are not mentioning the M23 rebels and IFC coalition. This rebel movement right now, it's almost a big coalition right now, leading not only a sector or even a territory. They are now in control of the big province like North Kivu here and also South Kivu. They have been appointing governors. They have now airport under their control. And people, by listening or by following this step in the US, they were trying to expect and to see what will happen exactly with the rebels on the ground here. And what we are getting from the rebellion, they are saying clearly that they are not concerned directly with this process, simply because the situation evaluated on the ground. We have to explain how things happen here between Rwanda and the DRC government, which has been accusing government of Rwanda of supporting the same rebellion, now controlling the area here. And then by accusing each other, the threat from President Felix Tshisekedi came out, even trying to mention clearly that he would like to change the regime or attack even Rwanda. And then Rwanda sent all these mechanisms or defensive measures that they are talking about. But this agreement right now, it's not saying clearly, and this is the concern of people here in the country, it's not saying clearly when the M23 will withdraw, and it's not even in the list because they are saying it's a different process. M23 is sticking on what is happening in Idoa, and it's still a failure for now because there is not any response over there. And then Rwanda always saying that they are not the one who should ask to M23 to leave because this is a Congolese problem. And also the country is going under a huge political crisis right now, which even the US is believing that this is the inside problem which need to be addressed, but at least they do believe that this process is a very good step which will pave the way now with another different process which is underway in Doha, and it will help at least to see how the next step will going on from now. And this is exactly what people will be following carefully from now on in the coming days, because this is still the main concern. And also we have to mention that on the ground situation still very fragile. As right now we are talking here, I've been talking to people on the ground. There is the fighting which is going on between M23 rebels and even the DRC government and their coalition on the ground, including the same armed group which they are mentioning in this agreement, fighting alongside the DRC forces on the ground.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, to just kind of simplify this conflict so that people kind of understand exactly what's going on here, Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo have basically been engaged in what is being described as a proxy war. And there's a rebel group that allegedly Rwanda is supporting, okay? And that rebel group is called M23. Now, M23 was not directly involved in these peace talks. However, apparently Qatar is going to broker peace talks directly with M23. And hopefully Rwanda stops supporting M23. Hopefully that's a part of the deal. And they figure out a way to deal with that rebel group that essentially is engaging in fighting within the Democratic Republic of Congo. This is just basically an extension of the Rwandan genocide, okay, still playing out today, right? That's basically what it is in a nutshell. And we're trying to broker peace, okay, between these two countries, right, and these rebel groups in order to engage in commerce, right? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what we get out of this. What we get out of this is access to their minerals, right? That's why we're really doing it. So I want to read about this so that people kind of understand exactly what's happening here. Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo signed a U.S. brokered peace agreement on Friday, raising hopes for an end to fighting that has killed thousands and displaced hundreds of thousands more this year. The agreement marks a breakthrough in talks held by U.S. President Donald Trump's administration and aims to attract billions of dollars of Western investment to a region rich in tantalum, gold, cobalt, copper, lithium, and other minerals. At a ceremony with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Washington, the two African countries' foreign ministers signed the agreement pledging to implement a 2024 deal that would see Rwandan troops withdraw from Eastern Congo within 90 days, according to a copy seen by Reuters. Kinshasa and Kigali will also launch a regional economic integration framework within 90 days, the agreement said. Let's scroll down here. President Trump says, quote, "We're getting for the United States a lot of the mineral rights from the Congo as part of it. They're so honored to be here. They never thought they'd be coming." The Rwandan foreign minister called the agreement a turning point. Congo foreign minister said it must be followed by disengagement. Trump later met both officials in the Oval Office, where he presented them with letters inviting Congolese president and the Rwandan counterpart to Washington to sign a package of agreements that Trump's senior advisor for Africa dubbed the Washington Accord. So, these past deals had not been implemented, and they urged President Trump to stay engaged. And President Trump basically warned that very severe penalties, financial and otherwise, would be implemented if the agreement was violated. Basically, if you guys can't find a way to stop funneling money to your rebel groups, to your proxy fighters, and come to a peace agreement, right, to actually have peace so that our companies can come in there and get some of your minerals, then there's going to be some problems, right? There's going to be some huge issues if you can't stop the fighting, okay? Rwanda has sent at least 7,000 soldiers over the border, according to analysts and diplomats, in support of the M23 rebels who seized eastern Congo's two largest cities and lucrative mining areas in a lightning advance earlier this year. The gains made by M23, the latest cycle in a decades-old conflict with roots in the 1994 Rwandan genocide, sparked fears that a wider war could draw in Congo's neighbors. Bolos told Reuters in May that Washington wanted the peace agreement and accompanying minerals deal signed simultaneously this summer. Yeah, so this is what we have here, right? We have a deal, okay? We're going to see if it's actually carried out, but it's important because deals like this counter what China's currently doing in Africa when it comes to trying to get access to minerals and economic cooperation with Africa, strengthening their ties in Africa. We're doing the same thing, right? Also on top of that, we talked about the hiccup with China when it comes to trade, because China didn't want to comply when it came to the minerals. Okay, so we got to diversify, right? We got to diversify where we get our minerals from, and that's why this deal is important. So I'm hoping and praying that the deal goes through, that the fighting stops, and that we as the American people benefit from this, right? In the sense that I guess our companies are going to benefit from it, but ultimately at the end of the day, I mean, peace is better than, having war, right? Even if, we get some of these minerals and, it benefits us. At the end of the day, there's a price, right? There's a price, because otherwise it doesn't really have that much to do with us, okay? So again, if we're going to get involved, then we better be getting something out of it. And we are. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.